Alright, so in this video, let's talk about selecting the right monitor that can serve you for video editing and color grading, and what is basically the minimum requirements you need to be looking for when you're purchasing a screen. Number one, IPS. Basically the IPS technology there, like your cell phone. No matter how you rotate, the image still remains the same, so you're not getting weird milky blacks like you may find in older old school monitors. When you look under the angle, they kind of look a little bit off, and basically that is very important. That is the most important thing when you're selecting a new monitor for you, especially if you're planning on doing like photo retouching, color grading, or just general video editing. So make sure that panel is IPS display. Normally, whenever there's a specification list on the back of the screen or online if you're purchasing through Amazon, Newegg or B&H or whatever it may be, they're going to be listing the panel as IPS panel. The second thing is SRGB. Whenever you're looking for a new screen, make sure that this display covers at least 100% sRGB. Basically, 100% sRGB in terms of, let's say, video editing will basically cover technically 100% Rec 709 color space. Therefore, as of right now, it's still a major format in basically all the streamings and all the other platforms online and on the cable news. The Rec 709 is still the king. If you want to be spending more money on P3 display, that's gonna be like an Apple screen on their iMac Pro. They cover P3 space. I believe the Surface Studio screen also cover P3. Basically, if you don't want to be spending more money on that kind of stuff, 100% sRGB screen will get you covered. Third, make sure the screen you're gonna purchase is gonna have sRGB controls. In other words, make sure you're gonna be able to dial your own temperature and red, green, and blue parameters on the actual screen. And why is it important? Because when you buy a screen, even though they claim to be factory calibrated, in reality they're not. So whenever you have a new screen, you always want to make sure you're going to calibrate yourself. Now, if you don't have a calibrator, those screens are still going to be relatively accurate from the beginning. But if you're a professional and you really need to have the most precise color out of your screen, make sure you're going to calibrate it yourself. sRGB controls are very important because they will help you to dial the neutral point for your calibration to get started when you get the new screen. So make sure when you're looking at the display, make sure you're going to either ask people whoever bought it in the comment section or send a question to manufacturer if they haven't specified it yet, if the screen have sRGB control. And finally, number 4 is the screen resolution. Since 1080p is becoming a little bit obsolete, when you're selecting a new screen, make sure that your display is going to be at least 2.5K in resolution. Even though there's a hype about 4K displays, realistically, if you edit pictures, video editing, even color grading, technically you don't need to have 4K display. However, at the moment, 1080p is already becoming a little bit old. So if you're looking for a new screen, make sure it's going to be at least 2.5K display. Hopefully this video gave you a little bit of extra information whenever you search for a new display. That way you kind of know certain things to look for when you're buying a new computer screen. Because a lot of people have been asking me this for months to do a video about computer displays and calibration. So I figured I'm going to start with the display, and probably my next or after a few following videos, I'm going to make sure to cover the actual calibration process of the computer screen.